It's time to chalk that moldy cheese and come into Jimmy's Family Entertainment Center. Jimmy's has the largest selection of video games in Bakersfield. Bump and spin space hover cars, pool tables, carnival games and rides, great food, and the best birthday party package around. Get a large pizza, 20 tokens, and a free bumper car ride for $9.99. And every day, get 50 tokens for just $5. Hungry? Try our Pac-Man special. Get a slice of pizza, a bag of chips, and soft drink for $2.25. Jimmy's has it all. Fun, food, and great value. Jimmy's Family Entertainment Center.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
WKGF presents The Witching Hour with Max Thorn.
Good evening, my little night crawlers. Max Thorn here, your maestro of Midnight Mayhem. Tonight, as always, we are broadcasting live from the beating heart of Bakersfield, California, the corner booth at 97.5 WKGF. And for the first time, we are stretching out like my old man in his lazy boy recliner. Tonight, August 25th, 1989, is the very first witching hour in nationwide syndication. What started as a local show here in Southern California in 86, then expanded to 12 markets in 87, 15 more markets in 88, now has 232 stations across the United States and 14 in Europe. So, whether you're in a city that never sleeps or a small town that rolls up the sidewalks at dusk, we're all here together. For all of you tuning in for the first time, and I hope there are a lot of you, welcome to the Witching Hour, where the unusual is usual. So, here's how things normally work. Every Friday night, we take a hard look at the weird, the unexplainable, and the downright spooky. We take your calls, true stories from everyday people like you and me about brushes with the bizarre, encounters with the eerie, and mysteries that defy logic. No tale is too strange, no experience too outlandish. On top of all of that, sometimes I'll dig deeper into the stories that claw at me, following leads, interviewing witnesses, and peeling back the layers of the unknown. Whether it's haunted houses, cryptic sightings, strange disappearances, spiritual awakenings, or if you're just feeling lonely and need to get something off your chest, or you're feeling like a bit of an outsider and just want to be with some pals, I've got you. This show is your platform to share your thrills and chills and fears and beers. We only have one request here. We want stories that you truly believe and things that you have witnessed with your own eyes. This isn't summer camp, so we don't want any campfire tales. When you call, you're going to have to talk to my producer, Ricky. And let me tell you, that dude is a human lie detector, and he will easily be able to weed out all the bogus and the BS. Trust me, he is good. Last week, I told him he was ugly and unappealing to women, and he saw right through me. Plus, made-up tales are never as good as the real deal. If you want made-up junk, turn your TV on. There is an endless supply of garbage to keep you happy. And if you think I'm off my rocker and crazy for believing in ghosts, then allow me to explain exactly why I am in the believing business. It's because I know the supernatural exists. I've seen it firsthand, and I've survived it. So if you're feeling a little adventurous, stick around, because what starts as a harmless tale might take you somewhere you never expected. But, at the end of the night, we're all here to have fun. Every single one of you listening is now part of our little club. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you believe, who you love, or how many cats you have. We're all in this together. We are not a news show, nor am I a news reporter. In fact, I have never even worn a suit before in my life. I'm not Robert Stack, and this isn't Unsolved Mysteries, and this certainly is not the Mark and Brian show. So we won't be acting like a couple of buttheads here, making prank phone calls and being wacky. We're not that type of show. Here, we're friends, buddies, old pals, sharing stories and helping each other out through the power of the airwaves that connect us all. We want to have fun, and we want you to have fun, because I know what is out there, and I desperately want to know more. And on Friday nights, we can all come together and try our best to figure things out and really listen to what people have to say. Because over the years, I've learned that sometimes just offering someone an ear can really make a difference. So often, people are quick to judge people who have a story or experience that doesn't, follow the status quo. Sometimes very weird things happen. Sometimes very scary things happen. And a lot of people just aren't ready to open their minds and trust that there are bigger things than us out there looming in the shadows. With this show, we aim to change that, for at least those of you willing to listen, and I mean really listen. We run this show on love and trust, and if everyone agrees to those terms, then I think we're going to have a very good time here and be able to meet people from literally all over. However, as I said earlier, tonight will be a little different. I thought I'd give a little backstory for those of you joining us for the first time. How did the witching hour become the beacon of the bazaar it is today? Well, my dear listeners, it all started with a cassette tape and a gamble. Let me take you back nearly 4 years to Halloween night 1985, Hollywood, California. I was a scrappy 19-year-old kid, ripped jeans, a Bon Jovi t-shirt, a mustache that looked like it was sponsored by Hildy's Canned Chili, and a dream bigger than the smog cloud over Los Angeles. I wanted to be the next Wolfman Jack or Rodney B, a voice blasting through stereos every night, shaking up lives with rock and roll that made parents tremble in their stupid loafers. But man, wanting doesn't mean anything. No one out there in the entertainment biz is rolling out the red carpets for people who want it. It takes desire, it takes drive and instinct, and most importantly, here's what a lot of people won't tell you, it takes a massive amount of pure, dumb luck. It took months of me pestering WKGF before a kind soul named Ellie Seymour let me shadow her. I was living with my parents, broke, sleep deprived, and had a bottle of Jolt Cola glued to my hand, but I knew, deep in my bones, I was made for this gig. There is a point to all of this, I promise. So, back to Halloween night 1985. I was in Hollywood for a show at the Whiskey A Go-Go from a little-known band you may have heard of now called Guns N' Roses. So I'd been hearing about this band for a while. There were rumbles around the city's Sunset Strip rock scene, and I thought if I could snag an interview with them after the show, I may finally break through the static and get my voice on the air. I had a couple of hours to kill before the show when I caught wind of a double homicide nearby from the night before. Opportunity was knocking. Any sensible person would have stayed on track, had their eyes on the prize they originally set out for. But not me. I was desperate to get on the air any way I possibly could. And if that meant playing dress up as a crime reporter, then that's what I would do. Any story I could possibly get, I wanted. I hopped a bus, sweet-talked my way into the LAPD, and lied so magnificently they were convinced I was a reporter with WKGF, despite my WKGF ID card clearly stating in bold lettering that I was nothing more than an intern. I can't believe that my ripped jeans and Bon Jovi t-shirt or my awesome hair or my dangling knife earring didn't tip them off that maybe I was not a crime reporter. Maybe I was full of BS. But it's a good thing it didn't, or else none of this would have happened. Honestly, I don't think they cared one way or another. The witness they had wasn't a suspect. She was just a petite English woman with dark brown hair and a man's jacket over a sundress, who just happened to see the victims shortly before their brutal demise. The police had more important things to do than care about me or her. They had a serial killer to find, and I had a career to make. Now, I'm not going to lie. I did not have a clue what I was doing. I knew nothing about real murder, just the ones I've seen in the movies. Like, my only interest was horror flicks and rock and roll. I had a whole list of questions to ask Guns N' Roses, but an eyewitness to a murder? Nah, I was clueless. But it was a shot I had to take. All I had with me was my shiny new Sony D6C Walkman and a blank tape I had reserved for Mr. Axl Rose. But when the cops let me into that room with their only witness, and I found out the case revolved around an active serial killer known as the Nightblade, oh man, the stars aligned, and I accidentally bumbled my way into a major news story. That recording I made became the spark that lit the inferno of my journey. It was raw and unprofessional and almost laughable with how bad I was. And if you pay attention, you can notice the exact moment that I think I may have made the biggest mistake of my life by not sticking with my Guns N' Roses plan. Like, I go from stupidly and almost offensively upbeat to completely over it, desperate to just wrap this stupid thing up and try to catch the end of the show. But that's when things got interesting and frightening, because what I ended up recording was so hot it almost scorched the clouds. I didn't sell my scoop to anyone. I was loyal to the station that gave me a shot. When that story hit the airwaves, the phone lines lit up like your drunk uncle at a Christmas party, and suddenly WKGF had a reputation other than being the home of rock and roll in the Southern Valley. We were the little station in Bakersfield, California that somehow managed to break a national news story. And me? I was swarmed by reporters, flooded with job offers that I didn't really want, but something in the back of my head told me to stick with WKGF. It wasn't rational, but I just had a feeling if I waited it out, put in the work, I would eventually get that rock and roll show I so desperately wanted. But then something started eating at me. I had seen something that was completely unexplainable. I had witnessed horrors I didn't know could even exist, and that intrigued me. I had an idea for a show that I could broadcast in my bedroom from my parents' house. A show about the weird things that are out there, the stuff nobody really talks about. I could buy a second phone line for the house, and I could connect to other people out there within the reach of my little waves who needed to tell their stories. I planned it out for a couple of weeks and decided to do it. I just wanted to check with WKGF first. Having an intern at their station start his own pirate radio station could have caused some problems. I didn't want to jeopardize my job there. So I went to the head of the station and told him my idea. He told me, "That's a terrible idea. Why waste a show like that on pirate radio when I could have the 10 p.m. Friday night slot right here at WKGF?" And that was that. It all worked out. I became the voice of the macabre on Friday nights, right here in Bakersfield, California. Nothing bonds you to a community quite like giving them weekly reminders to check under the bed. So, here we are, nearly 4 years later. I've got stories, guys. I've got stories that will make your skin crawl, make your heart swell with joy, and have your imagination running wild in the streets. And it all started with that one fateful Halloween night. So, buckle up, Thorniacs, because tonight, for our very first widely syndicated episode, we're kicking things off with the tale that started it all. This is The Witching Hour, and I'm Max Thorn. Let's dive headfirst into the shadows together. This is from Halloween night, 1985, my very first time on the air. And boy, does it show. At one point, I even make a Hamburglar joke. Yikes. All right, guys, let's go.
WKGF Breaking News.
I'm Max Thorn with WKGF. Late last night, the gruesome saga of the serial killer known as the Nightblade took an unexpected turn when two men were found brutally murdered in Stanton Park, bringing the known victim count to 9. The latest victims, Clark Newberry and Jeremiah Sampson, both suffered what could only be called a complete split with an extremely large, dull blade. In a chilling scene, the bodies were discovered by two policemen making their rounds. The city has been on edge in recent months with several slayings taking place in this area by a serial killer dubbed the Nightblade, the most gruesome killer the city has seen in quite some time. While looking for witnesses, police located Grace Lawson, a recent widow and resident of Stony Brook Village, the neighborhood just beyond the park. Other witnesses on a late-night bus ride recall a tense exchange between Lawson and the two victims, both of whom had displayed unusual interest in her despite her visible discomfort. This is fellow passenger Dick Harris.
She looked anxious, but those two men kept talking to her, sitting close, like they didn't understand what the heck no meant. They kept telling her about that serial killer out roaming around and how she shouldn't get off at the Stanton Park stop. Then them two old boys started arguing with each other about the killer. I think their imaginations were getting the best of them. I honestly started to think they suspected each other. That poor girl couldn't wait to get off. But, well, the men, they got off the bus at her stop, even though she clearly didn't want their company.
This is bus driver Earl Cappy.
Stanton Park after dark is no place for anyone, let alone some broad all alone.
Broad. Oof.
I could tell that girl wasn't very comfortable, what with them two men all but fighting over her attention. I almost thought about intervening, but who am I to step in on someone else's fresh catch?
Wow, fresh catch.
I mean, sure, I guess now I wish I had stepped in. But what can you do? I mean, if I had stepped in, what if it's the lady that ends up getting killed?
Lawson was picked up this morning at her home where she was oblivious to the previous night's ghastly events. As she walked into the station, wrapped in what was later identified as victim Clark Newberry's members-only jacket, she was pale, her expression unreadable. This is Officer Gabby Goodwin, who escorted Miss Lawson into police headquarters to get her statement.
I thought she looked peaceful, probably in shock. She told me one of the men had given her his jacket and told her to be careful. Then she continued on her walk home. She was very distraught when we told her of the news. I felt bad for her.
Earlier today, while covering the double slaying of two men in Stanton Park, I was granted an interview with key witness Grace Lawson, possibly the last person to see the victims alive as they exited the bus with her the previous night. And what happened was wholly unexpected. I took a portable cassette recorder and captured it all on audio. WKGF will now play that recording for you. Hey, sorry for how I'm dressed. I was expecting a concert tonight, not a... Well, whatever. I'm going to record this, if that's okay?
Of course.
Okay, thanks. And thanks for agreeing to speak with me.
I've always had a soft spot for the press, working for the people.
Yes, that's what I try to do. Appreciate that.
I like your little mustache.
Oh, God. Thanks. It's a work in progress.
So how may I help you, Mr...
Thorn. Max Thorn.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Well, Max Thorn, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I just got briefed on what happened last night, so, why don't we start there?
What exactly do you want to know, Mr. Thorn?
Let's see. You may have been the last person to see the two victims alive.
Well, maybe not the last.
Yeah, I don't know why they always say that. I mean, aside from whoever,
Of course.
So, witnesses say you were seen getting off the bus with Clark Newberry and Jeremiah Sampson. They were both found dead in Stanton Park shortly after that.
Let me make another slight correction to that. I got off the bus. Those two men followed me. There's a big difference.
Oh, they didn't tell me that part, but you're right. That's a pretty big difference. Did either of them say anything like alarming at the time, or did you notice anyone else get off the bus at the same time, or even lurking around the bus stop like the Hamburglar?
No, I didn't notice anyone.
Well, what can you tell me about the two victims? They seem to both take a liking to you, from what little I've gathered.
They were friendly men. A bit too friendly, if you understand me.
How so?
Talk. First it was just the one gent, then the other came over, kept warning me about the night played, and they both wanted to, and I quote, keep me safe. They wouldn't shut up about it, though. The way they were yapping on, you'd think the night play was waiting for me at the next stop, ready to split me open as soon as I got off the bus. I knew what they really wanted, though. Ugh, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Men sometimes have a way of thinking they're entitled to a woman's time. A look, a smile, a few words, even when we don't want to give it, which is usually always, but they still feel they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. And did you tell them that?
I shouldn't have to, but they knew. They didn't care. It's funny. They think it's harmless, just a little conversation, but they never understand what it feels like, how it makes you question everything, your own sanity. Paranoia can easily take over in even the most innocent of situations.
Yeah, I think a lot of women understand that feeling.
Yes, but the understanding isn't the same as doing something about it, is it?
So, I understand you tried ignoring them and moving to another seat. You felt threatened?
Threatened? No, Max, I wasn't threatened. I was tired. Tired of them pushing and pushing. Tired of being followed, catcalled, smiled at, touched. Women walk around with that fear every day, and the men, they just don't stop. They're relentless. Sometimes they need to be taught a lesson.
What kind of a lesson?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just talking, But sometimes people push until they finally meet someone who can't be budged. Maybe they pushed the night blade.
Yeah, maybe. And people in this town are terrified of it. They are demanding to know who the Nightblade is and when his reign of terror will be over.
His reign of terror? Oh, Max.
All right, I just assumed a man based on the brutality of the kills, but you're right. His or her reign of terror.
Its reign of terror. I think people want to believe that monsters are supernatural figures in masks, lurking in shadows. But what they don't realize is, sometimes evil is born in the hearts of those who are simply pushed too far. And sometimes, evil wears a smile instead of a mask. But I can give them supernatural if they'd like.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Supernatural is just a gimmick to scare teenagers.
You think so?
No, I know so. I've seen all those movies. I love them, but they're not real.
Well, I guess we will wait and see.
Wait and see what exactly?
Max, catch up. You seem nervous. Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous, just a little confused by your words.
What do you think, Max? Would a woman like me be capable of something like that? Those men were gutted, their rib cages split apart like a wishbone from Thanksgiving dinner. Do you really think little old me would be capable of such a thing?
I didn't say that. But no, I don't think you're capable of splitting those men apart. Forensics said it looked like a very dull blade was used, too, almost like they were pulled apart like a piece of meat. So, no, I don't think you could have killed those men or the 7 prior.
Typical man, always underestimating us women. How would you feel if I told you a secret?
I guess it depends on what the secret is, but tell me.
I don't need a knife to split someone open. In fact, I could split you open right now without even standing up.
You can split me open? All right. Never mind. You know what? We can be done here. I just wanted a basic interview with a witness.
Oh, I'm giving you so much more than a basic interview, Max. Isn't that what every reporter wants? To crack a case wide open.
I'm not a reporter. I'm not technically a reporter, but sure. Let's crack it open, you know? Do you know who the Nightblade is, Grace?
Oh, Max.
Fine. Are you the Nightblade, Grace?
I thought we were done here.
Oh, my God. Okay, yeah, we're done here.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Thorn. It's nice to almost be heard.
Are you not normally heard, Miss Lawson?
Never. But...
But what?
You know, sometimes the only way to be heard is to take away the voices that constantly drown you out.
I had had enough of the cryptic word games at that point. An officer had let me out of the room, and I asked to speak with him about what she had told me. He closed the door, leaving Grace inside, and took me to his desk just a few steps away. I played the tape for him, and a few officers gathered around. They were as convinced as I was that, at the least, Miss Lawson needs some more formal questioning, and not by, wannabe reporter such as myself. But here's where it gets chilling. When the officers returned to the room expecting to see Grace still sitting there, she was gone. At that moment, there was no doubt in my mind I had just interviewed the Nightblade. I had thought she was messing with me early on, but this cemented it. There was only one way in and one way out of that room, and the door was directly next to where we had been standing. On the ground in the room, all that was left was the coat she had taken off one of her victims. She had left the station completely unnoticed, evading officers and disappearing into the night. Surveillance footage revealed that just moments before her escape, she had taken off Newberry's jacket, folded it nicely, and left it draped over her chair. Then the video cuts to static. When the picture comes back, Grace Lawson was gone.
Grace Lawson vanished into thin air.
This is Detective Paula Paulson. She was one of the officers I played the recording for.
We had her right there in our custody, and now she's gone. Vanished. We won't rest until we find her. And we will find her.
Stanton Park, already the subject of widespread fear, has now taken on a new layer of darkness. Authorities are warning residents to avoid the park altogether until Lawson, or the true killer, is apprehended. A new wave of fear has gripped the town, and whispers of Grace Lawson's name have already become folklore in local circles. Some residents believe she is the embodiment of retribution, a woman pushed to her limits by the very world that sought to control her. Others claim she is pure evil. As police patrol Stanton Park, now empty and silent, and news already spreading like a wildfire about her disappearance, one thing is certain. Grace Lawson, widow, survivor, perhaps killer, has become a haunting presence in a town already scarred by terror. My name is Max Thorn, WKGF Bakersfield. Welcome back. That was almost 4 years ago, and Grace Lawson has never been found. After disappearing from the police station, 4 more new victims were found. The first in downtown Los Angeles and the last on the far end of the Santa Monica Pier. Each body had been torn completely in half, split from the sternum down in a jagged, uneven ruin. Broken ribs jutted out like snapped branches, while strands of intestines spilled onto the floor in glistening, pulpy piles. Blood was everywhere, thick, dark, and pooling beneath the remnants, its coppery stench heavy in the air. I saw one, and I haven't been the same since. No human could have done what I had seen. I don't think many animals could have done it either. The body I saw had been destroyed, leaving nothing but a grotesque mess of shredded flesh and shattered bone. And they were done in crowded areas, and so fast no one saw a thing. Grace Lawson, by all accounts, vanished into thin air after that day. She was spotted on the Santa Monica Pier, screaming wildly, and according to witnesses, the screams echoed, despite being in an open space. Then Grace ran to the end of the pier, claiming one last victim, and then vanished. No one has seen or heard from her since, and there have been no murders with her M.O. But the $1,000 question remains. What is Grace? I've been gnawing on that now and later ever since she pulled her Houdini act at the police station. That wasn't just some sleight of hand. There were no trap doors, no smoke and mirrors. It was like someone peeled her out of reality, like a color form, plucked off one backdrop and slapped onto another, just long enough to kill someone, and then on to the next, and the next, until, poof, she's gone. We like our monsters neatly labeled: ghost, demon, witch, cryptid, slasher, foul-mouthed serial killer possessed doll, whatever. Something with a backstory and a playbook. Something that we can understand. It's like in that movie Predator from last year, if you saw that. They say if it bleeds, we can kill it. And same goes for us. If we can name it, we think we can beat it. So, what is Grace's label? With all the subtlety of a kick to the crotch, she called herself an it. But what kind of it? Certainly not a clown like the Stephen King book, so what? A ghost? Probably not. Ghosts are echoes. They linger because they can't leave. They haunt, they drift, and then they fade. That's not Grace at all. So, what about a demon? Could be. She's cruel. She seems to really enjoy the suffering of others, so, hey, who's to say a demon doesn't come wrapped in a package of a sweet little English girl in a sundress? But I'm not convinced. Is she a witch? Now, that one's a little trickier. The witches you're picturing, the broomsticks, the black cats, the cauldrons bubbling over with cursed soup, fairy tales. Bewitched reruns, a sanitized storybook version of something a lot older, because once upon a time, witches weren't just people who used magic, they were magic. They weren't human. Not exactly. They lived outside of time, outside of memory, slipping in, slipping out. They didn't just cast spells. They rewrote reality itself. So, maybe Grace is one of them. Maybe she's the last of them. Maybe there are 1 million of them. I have no idea. What I do know is that witches don't haunt people. They choose them. And for whatever reason, all those men split open around Los Angeles, they were chosen. And I was spared. I can understand the 2 men on the bus. Grace practically told me why she did those 2 guys in. But the people on her way to the pier after she escaped, I can't imagine they did anything except possibly get in her way. And the 7 prior? No clue. But not me. She could have. I truly believe that. But for whatever reason, I got off scot-free, as did everyone else in the police station, even the people hunting her after she vanished. So, I don't have an answer. and I don't think I want one. And luckily, I don't think I'll ever get one. Grace is long gone, and it's doubtful she'll be back, in our lifetime at least. When I went in that day to interview her, I did not believe in the supernatural. I thought it was all just fodder for really fun movies. But I was wrong. I am fully on board now. Whatever Grace is or was intrigues the heck out of me. If she's out there, what else is out there? That's the main question we're trying to answer here on the Witching Hour. And as for Grace, maybe she'll return one day, maybe she won't. We'll just have to wait and see. But that was it. Obviously, that was my first shot at an actual news report, and I was noticeably nervous. But whatever, I was like 19, leave me alone. I was expecting to interview a drunken rock star, not a serial killer. But anyway, that is how the Witching Hour was born. 3 months later, on February 1st, 1986, I was sitting in the corner booth at WKGF. The lights turned down low, the dark street outside my window foggy and quiet, as I aired the show for the first time. Never in my wildest dreams or nightmares did I expect to broadcast all over. But here we are, and I hope you join us every Friday night. Now, stay with us because we're going to take a very brief break, and I will be back with a replay of my very first Witching Hour investigation. So keep that dial tuned right where it is.
If you've had enough of the rest, then step into the best.
Inner Sanctum Comics.
Raising comic book collecting to a whole new level with personalized service and everyday discount prices. The largest back issue collection in Kern County. Inner Sanctum is committed to helping you build your collection. Hot books, cool prices. Kern County's #1 comic book store is Inner Sanctum next to the warehouse on Ming Avenue.
You're in the big leagues when you make a perfect slide. You're in the big leagues when you keep the team alive. You're in the big leagues when you block a shot or two. You're in the big leagues when you're in the Big League Chew.
Big League Chew, man-sized wads of great tasting shredded bubble gum stuffed into a giant Stay Fresh pouch for Big League flavor and Big League bubbles. It's Big League Chew.
You're in the big leagues when you're in the Big League Chew.
We now return to The Witching Hour with Max Thorn.
We're back. Thanks for staying with us. I know commercials are just about the uncoolest thing on the planet, so I appreciate you all. So, before the break, I promised I would replay my very first investigation from 4th of July week, 1986. So here we go. Let's head back in time with the Wild Water Matter.
97.5 WKGF, the home of rock and roll.
You're dialed into the Witching Hour, broadcasting from Bakersfield and all of the Southern Valley. Max Thorn here, your guide through the weird and unexplainable. Tonight, we're not just chasing ghosts. We're diving into the deep end of something darker. Tonight, we are revisiting the tragic events of July 12, 1984 at Wild Waters, the popular water park in San Dimas, California. A day meant for laughter and sunshine turned into a chlorine-scented nightmare when a young boy named Eddie Lucas vanished inside the park's most popular attraction, the high-towering, fully enclosed water slide known only as the Tube. Yes, you heard me correctly. Eddie went missing inside the Tube. But how is that even possible? I traveled to San Dimas to see what I could find out. The official investigation went cold, leaving behind a lingering unease and a whole lot of unanswered questions. But tonight, we're not settling for the official story. We're going deeper. Because this isn't an ordinary news show. This is The Witching Hour.
Authorities are baffled by the disappearance of 10-year-old Eddie Lucas last Thursday afternoon. Despite a thorough search, no trace of the boy has been found. Wild Waters remains closed indefinitely.
I'm standing now just outside the gates of Wild Waters. It's been 2 years since Eddie's disappearance, and the park remains open despite being closed temporarily after the incident. The vibrant paint has been reapplied, the slides have been cleaned and repaired, but an eerie silence still hangs in the air. The children still love it here, as evidenced by their laughter and screams of joy filling the air, but there's something else, too. A sense of something unseen. Something lurking. My investigation into what happened to Eddie Lucas has taken me down some strange paths over the past few days. I've spoken to people who were here that day, and their memories, though fragmented, paint a disturbing picture. Martha, you were working as a lifeguard at Wild Waters the day Eddie disappeared. Can you tell me what you remember?
It was like chaos, you know? Like so many people, so much noise. The tube was like always packed, and like I was stationed at the landing pool, you know, like where all the kids come shooting out. So one day a large group of kids come out, and they're all like, you know, like laughing, you know, and like having a great time, you know, just being rowdy kids, you know. And then someone yelled, "Hey, where's Eddie?"
Did you see anything unusual?
Now, like, this will sound crazy, but for a split second, when the last kid came out, the water in the pool, like, it churned, like something big, like, moved underneath, you know? I thought it was just, like, the force of everyone coming down, you know? But, like, it was different. I can't explain it. It just wasn't right. Like, you know, the water was like darker, you know?
Darker?
Yeah, like a shadow, like passed over the sun, you know? But like in the water, you know? And then like gone. But like, it wasn't because some kid peed in the pool. Like, I've seen that 100 times, you know? And like, it wasn't that. I've seen a million pea clouds.
The darkness in the water is a recurring detail. I heard a similar account from a teenager who was waiting in line for the tube that day. Daniel, you were at Wild Waters with your friends that day. You were near the tube, right?
Yeah, we were waiting in line. It was hot, and everyone was mega hyped.
And did you notice anything strange?
Well, this sounds dumb, but we saw something near the top of the slide, like a ripple, but it wasn't the wind. It was like something moving under the fiberglass, like fast, like the water splashed out of the entrance to the tube. But why would water splash up, you know?
Something moving under the slide?
Yeah, and it was big enough to go against the downward flow of water, you know? Like the jets of the water, like all aimed down, but like this splash came up. We thought it was like our eyes playing tricks on us, you know? But then that little kid, Eddie, he ain't come out. And there was like this weird smell, like mud and something like rotten. We didn't think much of it at the time because the kids are always farting, especially when they go down the tube. Like, I swear I think they make it a competition as to who can stink it up the worst. But like, looking back, you know, I don't think it was farts at all. Yeah, mud and like rotten. That's the best way I can describe it.
The smell, mud, and rot has also been mentioned by others I've spoken with who live near the park. It's not the smell of stagnant water or past gas, it's something else. My investigation led me to the old maintenance logs for Wild Waters, and one entry really tickled my tenderloins. Weeks before Eddie's disappearance, a worker noted a recurring blockage in the tube's outflow. The log reads, and I quote, "Pulled out some nasty stuff. Looked almost organic, like thick black seaweed, but it moved a little even after it was taken out. Almost looks like it's breathing. Some new form of algae? Hope not. Promptly sealed it in a jar and will keep an eye on it. But who was this worker? I asked around and no one seemed to remember. I managed to get a list of employees from around the time of the incident and through the process of elimination was able to come up with the name Abe Hernandez. But I have been unable to track him down. But moving organic matter in a heavily chlorinated water slide? It defies explanation. And then, while exploring the landing pool, I found something else. A ripped swath of clothing from my wild patterned swim trunk. Nothing out of the ordinary in and of itself, but it appeared to be almost melted, the outer edges appearing almost like burnt plastic. This could have been caused by chlorine, I suppose, because I know water parks use a ton of it to kill the pee and stench and lice and God knows what else kids have growing on them. But this seemed excessive, even for a water park. The burnt plastic look suggests a corrosive substance. But from what? My research into local folklore has unearthed a terrifying possibility. The Native Americans who once inhabited this land spoke of the Talaquani, a water creature that demanded sacrifices. Legends describe it as having dark, slick skin, immense strength, and an insatiable hunger, capable of snatching prey from the water completely unseen and without warning. Now, that's all fine and good, but, really? Far more intriguing to me is the supposed algae, thick, black, and seaweed-like, that moved out of the water and looked like it was breathing. Now, that's something I can get behind. I tracked down Dr. Trevor Wynn, a microbiologist out of UCLA who's been studying algae mutations for over a decade. I asked him if, theoretically, there could be a strain of algae that could dissolve organic matter. Here is our phone conversation.
Well, Max, that depends how scared you want to be. In extreme environments like volcanic lakes or deep thermal vents, we've seen extremophiles, organisms that eat through stone, metal, and even bone. Algae in particular can mutate rapidly when exposed to certain chemicals, like, say, high concentrations of chlorine, urine, sunscreen, or industrial runoff.
That sounds like you just described a water park.
Exactly. If an aggressive strain of cyanobacteria or algae bloom was exposed to the right cocktail of contaminants and it developed a digestive mechanism, say excreting enzymes that break down tissue for nutrients, you could, in theory, end up with something corrosive enough to dissolve skin, even muscle.
And bone?
With time, yes. Think flesh-eating bacteria, but slower, denser, and plant-based. If someone were submerged in a concentrated pocket of it, say in a closed tube where water pressure forces contact, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
So you're telling me this algae could eat a person?
Not like in a horror movie with teeth, but yes, by releasing proteolytic enzymes, breaking down organic tissue, and absorbing it. We're not talking about instant liquefaction, but enough exposure. A small child might not have much left to recover, especially if the sample was mobile.
Mobile?
Some algae have flagella, tiny little whip-like tails of movement, combined with the water currents in the right environment, and yes, it could move. It wouldn't hunt, per se, but it could spread, colonize new places.
And nobody's studying this?
Nobody wants to believe algae can kill. But the science is there, and I'd be very curious what Wild Waters isn't putting in their maintenance reports.
Yeah, so would I. Okay, Doc, purely theoretical here. But say this aggressive algae mutated into something new, something unknown to science. You said earlier it could digest tissue. Let's push it a little farther. If a small child, say 8 years old, was exposed to a concentrated cluster of this algae in, I don't know, a high-speed enclosed water slide where no light gets in, could this thing, this algae, this theoretical algae, swallow him up, leave no trace, and do it fast?
In theory, Yes, especially if we're talking about an anaerobic species, one that thrives without oxygen. In a closed, damp environment like a slide or a pipe, it could form what we call a biomass mat, sticky, dense, clinging to everything it touches. Add in the water pressure, the turbulence, and panic, the victim might inhale or ingest it without realizing. Once it's inside the lungs, the digestive process could accelerate. The enzymes would break down soft tissue rapidly. Clothes might catch fire or melt, depending on the chemical structure, especially if the algae had adapted to chlorine-rich environments.
So no blood, no bone, maybe a few scraps of swim trunk. And that's it?
Precisely, especially if the park's filtration system kicked on shortly after. It's possible that remains were flushed through the system before anyone realized he was even gone.
And nobody would question it, because algae doesn't growl, it doesn't have claws.
Exactly, it's the perfect predator because no one believes it's dangerous.
That was Dr. Trevor Wynn from UCLA. Back at Wild Waters, I managed to speak with a former night security guard who worked here after Eddie's disappearance. He recounted hearing heavy dragging sounds near the point of the wave pool and seeing large, unnatural ripples on calm nights. He quit after only a few weeks, claiming he felt like he was being watched. Also, he had a bit of a drinking problem. He fell over twice during our brief interview. But the question remains, what happened to that algae sample? The notes said it was being kept in a jar, but where? The maintenance man who wrote the notes is nowhere to be found, and no one can seem to track him down. Believe me, I tried. All I'm left with is more questions and zero answers. A cold spot in the water, something moving beneath the slide, a strange smell, melted clothing, legends of a water-dwelling predator, and the existence of a living, breathing algae? While we may never know for certain what happened to young Eddie in that tube that day, the evidence suggests a terrifying possibility, that he may have become the prey of something outside of scientific explanation, in or near San Dimas, California. So while the air here is filled with screams and laughter, it's the rare moments of silence that is truly deafening. I spoke with a parent who brings her kids here regularly during summer, wondering what she thought about all of this, and why she still feels safe dropping her kids off in a place where a child went missing.
It was just that one kid, right?
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, I'll take that chance. These kids are brutal during summer. I mean, I'm sure they'll all be fine, right? You have kids, right?
No kids.
Yeah, don't. Brutal. Ooh.
Wow, that's some sage advice. Parents these days are wild. Anyway, hopefully she's right, and they'll all be fine. But as for young Eddie Lucas, the only thing we know for sure is that a 10-year-old boy went missing here, and his family desperately wants him back. If you have any information on the disappearance of Eddie Lucas, please call the local police or me, and I will relay the message. This is Max Thorn, and you're listening to The Witching Hour, reporting from San Dimas, California. That was from 1986, and just like Grace, Eddie Lucas has never been found. And as far as I can tell, no other child has gone missing in the area since then, which begs the question, where the heck is Eddie Lucas? Or, maybe even just as important, where is that sealed jar of algae? Because I would sure like to take a look at that bad boy. This is The Witching Hour. I'm Max Thorn, and I'm so glad you're here with us on this momentous occasion. Now, to prove that this show isn't all doom and gloom, I'm going to play an interaction I had with a caller a few years back. This is just to give you an example of the pure fun we can have on this show. So let's hop in the old time machine and go back to September of 1987. Hey, you're tuned to The Witching Hour, and the lines are open, so give us a call. 805-272-0089. If you've got something to say, strange, stranger, or strangest, let's hear it. Let's go to Gary from Orange County.
Hello? Hi. Yeah, this is Gary.
Hey, that's my dad's name too.
Yeah, wow.
All right then.
So, I think my cereal is trying to warn me about something.
Okay, Gary. Well, let's pump the brakes here a bit. Let's back it up, okay? What kind of cereal are we talking about here? C-3POs? Smurfberry Crunch? Circus Fun? What do you got?
Alphabetos. You know, the knockoff brand? The box says, fun with every spoonful, but this is not fun, Max. They're spelling things.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, the whole premise of alphabet cereal, right?
No, not random words. Sentences. Threats. Yesterday morning, my bowl said, do not go outside. Spelled perfectly, dead center of my bowl. Do not go outside.
Did you heed the warning and not go outside, Gary?
No, I had to pull my trash cans out to the curb. I forgot to take it out the night before, and if I didn't drag it down, I'd have to wait a whole nother week.
And did something happen outside, Gary?
Yes, a pigeon, Max. That feathered menace unleashed a brown bomber with the force of a backed-up sewer pipe right on top of my freshly washed hair.
Was it a targeted strike or simply a fudge factory overflow? That's hard to tell, Gary. Nature is cruel. What can I say?
That's not all. 2 days ago, it spelled call off the date. I didn't listen.
What date?
I resorted to video dating, Max. It's the truth. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I had a date with a girl named Nicole.
And did you call off the date?
No way. She was a total babe-o-rama.
So what happened?
30 minutes in, she tells me she's not technically single.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, she told me right as her not-so-ex-boyfriend was coming right for me. I swear he looked like he was chiseled from a sequoia tree and childhood trauma. He had fists like Christmas hams, Max. I know. I got a good look at them while he was pounding my face into pizza dough.
Gary, I think your cereal might be trying to save your life, dude.
I think it's alive.
The cereal?
Or something in the box. This morning, it just said, "You're next." No context, no explanation, just "you're next."
No idea what it could mean?
No. I flipped the box over. Nothing but a word search and a cartoon bee holding a book. That bee knows something.
Do you think the bee is involved, Gary?
I think the bee is the ringleader. He knows something for sure. He's got those shifty eyes, Max. And what's up with the book? What would a bee be reading, Max?
Have you tried switching cereals?
Why would I switch cereals if it's trying to save my life?
I have no idea, Gary.
Maybe that bee is like my guardian bee, you know?
My guy, is it possible, and I mean this as nice as possible, coming from a friend, that you might be very lonely and your brain is filling in the blanks?
Probably. I mean, I used VHS dating. Have you seen the mutants on those things? But what if I'm right?
Well, better ask the cereal.
Okay, hold on.
What is the cereal saying now?
I'm looking at the bowl right now. Hang on. Okay. It says, he knows.
Oh, good. That's fine.
I think he means you.
Okay, Gary. Maybe don't finish that bowl. Or maybe do. I don't know. I don't think the bowl means me because this one has me stumped.
I'm not lying.
I'm not saying you're lying. You got past my human lie detector, so I am going to believe you.
Well, what if it's the bee that knows?
Yep, that's probably it.
If you don't hear from me again, avenge me.
I will go to the ends of the earth to hunt down that bee, Gary.
I knew I could count on you.
Here's my advice to you. Give that video dating thing another shot. Every time you see a girl you like, ask the cereal and see if it approves. If it doesn't, move on to the next until it gives you a positive answer. Then make the date. I can almost guarantee the cereal is your friend and only looking out for you. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I can do that.
Fantastic. And do not forget to invite me to your wedding.
Okay, Max. Thanks.
All right. Well, I am going to go buy a box of the all-knowing, all-seeing Alphabetos. We'll be right back with more of the Witching Hour. See, there is all sorts of fun to be had here on the Witching Hour. I hope you will stick with us every Friday night as we try to get to the bottom of whatever mysteries of life you may encounter. Now, that story does have a very wild twist. Gary followed my advice and 13 months later got married to a woman his cereal told him was A-OK. I can vouch for this because I was at the wedding. I took my good friend Jody Watley, and it was a very, very interesting time. And I am not joking about that. Anyway, so take this week and think about the weird or wonderful or haunting or terrifying stories you have. And next Friday night, give us a call. 805-272-0089. We want to hear them all. And if you're the shy type and don't want to be live on the air, you can call us anytime you want and leave a message on our answering machine. We'll listen to every single one of them, and we'll even play some on the air. So, thank you for tuning in to this very first episode of The Witching Hour across the nation and beyond. We are thrilled to be with you, and we look forward to seeing you every Friday night right here on The Witching Hour. I'm Max Thorn, signing off.
He moves fast. He fights hard. He makes a lasting impression. Van Damme.
Whatever's going on, the guards are involved.
He loves the action.
Numbers next on the list.
Wham, bam. Thank you, Van Damme.
Welcome to hell!
Death Warrant. Rated R. Starts Friday, September